Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to some Black Ops 3. I know I think I peaked maybe in that little intro. I'm sorry about that. I'm probably should figure out where I should sit with my microphone. Also, look at this. I have the kill number thing on this gun. 967 kills, not that many. But anyway, I am going to be doing what I said I was going to do in the last video. Also, this isn't going to be a very interesting game because there are only a few people in this game. Boom, got him. And I hope more join. But anyway, I said I was going to tell you guys a story if you guys wanted me to tell you a story. Somebody down below commented in the last video, said story or tell us a story, something like that. And so I'm going to be trying to tell you guys a story today. I don't have too many great stories, so what I'm going to be talking about is my experience as a ski instructor at a ski hill. So it's an interesting, I guess it's kind of interesting, mildly interesting to at least. So I worked as a ski instructor and I taught younger kids from ages like 4 to I think the highest or the oldest I taught was like 15 or 16, something around there. Anyway, when I was teaching these kids, it was an interesting job. So I had kids that were good, bad, and some of them were even worse than bad, if that makes any sense. Like the good ones were obviously, like, not obviously, but they were great. Like they were usually the shy ones. They like didn't want to do too much, and they were like really nice, and like they did everything I ever asked them to. Like I was like, hey, can you guys do this? And they were like, yeah, sure, we can do this. There you go. And like they would actually do what I asked them to, which was like super amazing. Like that's what I wanted all the time. And I was, okay, that guy Katana, that was a smart move. Anyway, it was great. Like I'd be like, hey, okay, let's do this now, and they'd be like, okay, sweet, I'll do that. But they didn't actually say anything. They were like, okay, and then like, well, they didn't even say okay most of the time. Anyway, so they did what I asked them to, and it was pretty great. Then I had the bad kids who, I have so many examples. There was this one kid who, like, I would ask him to do something, and he'd just say no. I'm like, why not? He's like, I don't want to. I'm like, well, that's not okay. Like, your parents paid money for you to learn how to do this, and they're like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, oh, Jesus. And it was just like, they didn't want to do anything, and it was just all terrible. And then I had other kids who just, okay, there's another example. This one girl I had, she was just like absolutely like deadly afraid of anybody that ever like snowboarded or skied next to her. Like not even like near her, just anywhere next to her. And so like anytime there was anybody like close to her, like I'm saying close, like 10-20 feet, something like that, like pretty far away, like normal people wouldn't really care that much, but she's like deadly afraid of them. She's like, oh my goodness, they're gonna run into me. So she just starts screaming. She starts screaming on the top of her lungs. And I'm like, what happened? And she's like, oh, somebody was just about to hit me. I'm like, no, I saw that person too, and they were like a good distance away. I never said that to her face, but I was like, okay, well, at least they didn't. And then like they actually weren't even close to her. And so like I see this like snowboarder coming down, and I just know she's gonna yell. It kind of goes like kind of near her. She just starts screaming, and everybody like on the hill stares at her as if like I'm doing something wrong. And it was just, it was not fun at all. And then like it was not a good thing. And then also this same girl thinks that she's like some expertise like skier, like greater than like everybody else in the class, or better than everybody else in the class, but she's like actually not good at all at skiing. And so like she's like, oh yeah, I should be in the next class up. I should be like up in the better like skiing whatever. I'm like, okay, well, how about we try doing this? And like I would tell her to do something. Everybody that was in my class as of then could do what I asked them to do. This girl, she could not do it, and then she kept complaining like, oh, I've already done this. I'm like, okay, then let's do it. And then she couldn't do it, and I'm like, so like why can't you do it then if you said you could do them all? And it's like, oh, blah blah blah. It was just not fun at all to like deal with those kind of people. And then some of them were just like absolutely terrible. I had this one kid who would just constantly he would punch me. He would for no reason just punch me over and over and over again, and like I was like, can we not punch me? He was like, no, dummy, you're stupid. And like at first it was kind of funny, but then it got old so quick, because he just, every lesson I ever had with him, he just like he just had to punch me. He just had to hit me. And I was like, can we not hit me? And he was like, no, I'm going to hit you. I'm like, okay, great. This is going to be a good lesson, I can tell. Woohoo. But, you know, it was actually a pretty easy job because I just kind of had to keep them entertained. I had to teach them like a very minimal amount of things, and then I had to keep them entertained for the rest of the time. So pretty much what I would do is like I'd try to like I'd do like one thing a day kind of thing. Like I wouldn't try to teach them too much. I wouldn't be like, all right, today we're gonna learn how to keep our skis parallel and do a triple backflip off this amazing jump. No, I didn't do any of that. I was just like, all right, so let's try to keep our skis in French fry and let's go down the hill. Yeah, pretty easy, right? And most of the kids couldn't do it. Anyway, that's pretty much how I had to teach them too. I had to say, okay, kids, let's go pizza, then French fry, pizza. And then French fry. Now come over here with your pizza. And like that's actually how kids learned. Like they actually learned with pizza and French fries. So if you guys have ever seen the South Park episode where it's like, okay, kids, if you don't for pizza when you're supposed to pizza, you're gonna have a bad time. That's exactly how the like entire skiing thing actually is. Like I actually learned like how to teach from there pretty much. I just copied my entire thing from South Park. I was like, okay, kids, time to pizza, and then they would all pizza and like, yeah, good job. And then there'd be that one person that couldn't pizza, and I'll be like, okay, so the way you pizza is by putting your feet, like your toes together. And like that kid just could not put his toes together. Like no matter what I said, this kid could just not put his toes together. And it was like, okay, kid, all you gotta do, toes together, that's it. But some kids just can't do it. And I was like, okay, sure. This other time I had a kid who actually, he was like I had a group of like 4 or 5, and I'm pretty sure they were like all friends somehow, or I don't know, they like easily became friends. So I had like this group of 4 or 5 that were kind of close to each other, and like we're having a good time. And then I let 3 of them go up on a chairlift by themselves, and I took the other one, I think, or other 2, I don't know how many I had. But when I get to the top, this one kid has a bloody nose, and I'm like, what happened? He's like, he punched this one, and then he punched him back, and then he got a bloody nose. I'm like, what happened? Who punched who and gave who a bloody nose? And so it turns out one of my kids actually punched another kid and gave him a bloody nose. And I was like, yay, great. This is exactly how I want my kids to be teaching when I'm teaching them. I want them all to punch each other as hard as they can and give them each a bloody nose. Woo! So I had a kid who got a bloody nose at the top of the hill. Luckily, it was the last ski lesson of the last couple minutes of the day. So it was alright. And then other times I had kids who just like could not ski at all. Like they were actually really bad at balancing. Like they could not stand up at all. And so literally every couple like seconds this kid is like on the floor, like laying down. And it's just like, I don't know how you can teach somebody that can't stand up on their skis. So I had to teach those kind of people as well, which is interesting. And pretty much the whole lesson plan was just, let's try and balance on our skis if we can. If we can't, then we're just gonna have a good time. And pretty much most of the time we had a good time. Well, I think we had a good time. I'm not really quite sure. But it was an interesting job. There were some days that were like super cold, like super cold. Like it was colder than like anything. I don't actually know how cold it was. It was pretty cold though, and there was like wind chill, and it was like my hands were freezing constantly. And like we didn't actually even ski that much. We were like inside most of the time. And so like most of the day was actually just spent like sitting inside and like trying to warm up, which was, I mean, good for me because I didn't have to teach too much, but it was just an interesting lesson that day. And that happened twice. There were like 2 days in a row because I worked on weekends, which is not a smart thing to do. I worked full time on weekends. By full time I mean full day. On weekends, and it was absolutely miserable. And so I was working on weekends. I like finish up with one class, and then the next class would start like immediately. Pretty sure I had like 4 classes. I think I had 4 classes in a day. Yeah, 4 classes in a day. And so I had 8 classes in a weekend. So something like it was pretty stressful, but I don't know, it was alright. But there were just some of those kids were like so bad. Like I've decided that I don't really like working with kids anymore. Like, I don't think I've ever liked working with kids, but it was not fun at all. Like, it was honestly just dealing with all those kids. Some of them were like, oh, I can't do this, and I'm like, why not? It's like, oh, I can't do it, and then like they wouldn't actually give me like a good legitimate reason or anything. They just didn't want to do it, so they just laid down, and I'm like, alright, can we get up? We'll take a break inside. And they're like, I don't wanna, and just, it was like a typical kid behavior, and I was not ready for that. But it was what it was, and it was a decent job. I got paid a good amount, and it was actually pretty chill for a job. Like, pretty much everybody got hired that like tried to get the job, so it's pretty great. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the story. I know it wasn't very amazing and great, but this is a story of how I was an amazing ski instructor. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like and video and stuff. Bye.